Hello again. Tim Kearns with the Great Lakes Observing System, and we're here on day 2 live stream of the NCAR missing plane search taking place right now just off the shore, the southern shore of Lake Superior, west of Houghton, being organized and coordinated by the Smart Ships Coalition and led by the Michigan Technological University. And we've got a number of people involved in this, stakeholders from across the region. And today we've got Travis White, research engineer. He's on the RV Soliton, who's one of the crewed vessels that's out on the lake right now. They're also shadowing an ASV, an autonomous surface vessel or surface vehicle, which is collecting data autonomously in search for this missing aircraft that went missing on October 23rd, 1968. Now, someone said yesterday, who wants to see some guy talking on YouTube? That's not what we came here for. We came here to see the people in action. So if Travis is there, I'd love to get you on screen, Travis. And there you are. How are things going out there? It's 3 in the afternoon for you. And how's the day progressing so far? Any challenges or successes?
Yeah, hey Tim, we're happy to be checking in here again, and we are still underway. We're somewhere closer to Ontonagon than last time we checked in with you, and we have just about completed one of our survey lines here today, with the second one planned taking us back towards the North Entry Portage Canal. So we spent the majority of this morning kind of dealing with getting a new computer set up for our data acquisition on account of some water ingress in the ASV. So we've got that back up and running. Everything looks good. We've got all of our data streaming back to us live. So we've been watching that now for the last several hours. I've got James and Chad from Ocean Infinity behind me. Chad is currently working on the line planning for the next part of the ASV survey. So he'd be happy to jump in here at any point and say a few more words if folks are curious how that works. And Anthony's to my other side, and he's observing our Norbit multi-beam coming from the ASV. So this is live in real time. And what we're doing is we're looking for reflective targets and unusual features on the lake bed and this backscattered data that's being collected from the multi-beam instrument. And I know there's probably a lot of questions out there about what we're finding. So I'll pause here and let you jump back in.
Okay, well, thanks. And we are going to have Matt Holland from Norbit, who will be walking us through some of that data that's coming off of the ASV itself in a few minutes here. And it's great to have your colleagues, particularly around the line planning. I think it'd be helpful if you could explain to our viewers what that means. Some people call it mowing the lawn. Maybe shed some light on that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So I'm going to back up towards Chad here, and if you can see over, let's see, you can see over our shoulders. We're looking at a kind of a graphic user interface for that ASV, and on that screen are some lines over our current hydrographic charts, which have very poor soundings, very poor resolution. So we basically see blue. That represents water that is not mapped to today's standards. And what we're doing is we've got our 7 by 3 mile or roughly 21 square mile area west of the Keweenaw, and we are creating a grid search pattern through that. Given the nice conditions, we are able to run very long survey lines, so the full 7 miles in one direction, turn around and run that same 7 miles back the way we came from. And we're doing this at relatively low speeds, about 5 to 6 knots. A knot is about 1.1 miles per hour. So you can imagine to collect all this data, it's a very time-intensive process. And the ASV really helps automate part of that. Normally the same crew that's on this vessel would get half of the survey done in a day that we're getting done today because of the fact that we have this ASV that is running a parallel mission plan to us. So we've taken our search box at 7 by 3 miles, and we have split it into a north and a south section, basically right down the middle. So the ASV is covering the north section of that in about 400 feet of water, and our crewed vessel Soliton is covering the south section in about 300 to 350 feet of water.
Very interesting. Now I better understand what it means to mow the lawn as well. It's been a long time since I've been out on the lake doing work like what you're doing today, but it's fascinating. I'm glad you've got a good crew with you. There was a couple of questions that we had earlier from our previous live stream that we weren't able to answer. One of them was Wayne Lusardi, who was on a different vessel than you folks. He's the Maritime State Aviation Archaeologist. And the question was, is he alone? Because we didn't see anyone else. I think the answer is no. He has got a couple other people on board with him. So he's not alone out there on Lake Superior. He's with other good people. And then the other question we had was, have you found any debris or targets so far that you think may be suspect in terms of the wreckage of the airplane?
Yeah, well, that's great. I can answer those two questions together because they're both related. So Wayne is currently with my colleague Christopher Pinot and Ryan Williams. That group is in a smaller vessel, and they have on board a remotely operated vehicle. So what that is it's a very small remote control underwater vehicle that has cameras on board and a cable tether back to the surface. So as we're going along looking at the sonar data in real time, we're picking targets that look resemble potential debris or parts of a man-made object, and we're providing those coordinates to that other vessel, and their job right now is to go over those coordinates and investigate closer. So we're trying to use their time as efficiently as we can. So we're not sending them to every bright spot in the data, but the few spots we have here that look very suspicious to us are ones that we're relaying back to them. And then that crew is also using an autonomous underwater vehicle, which they can deploy to get a similar side scan sonar survey over top of those targets, but at a very close altitude to the bottom of the lake. And that allows them to get a much higher resolution, much more detailed look with side scan sonar, different than the multi-beam we're currently collecting. So that is how we're attacking this mission, and that's what their purpose in the other vessel is. And to answer the question of have we found anything, we have found a lot of interesting features in the sonar data. We see a lot of geological features in the lake bed, some of which include sand waves that are propagating kind of perpendicular to the shoreline behind me out towards deeper water. And some of these sand waves are, maybe 15 meters, 40, 50 feet in height as we come up and over them. So we're seeing a very dynamic lake bed. And we're also seeing in the most recent transit lines here, or survey lines rather, we're seeing a lot more reflective, rocky, hard features. And that's obviously making it much harder to pick out what we're looking for, which are small, reflective objects such as aluminum wings or airframe structures. So we've got some good promising targets. We're doing the investigation, but certainly won't have a definitive answer to that question just yet. So we're hoping to answer that soon.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for keeping us posted, Travis, to you and everyone else out there. We hope the rest of your day goes well. Uneventful is, typically what we like to say when you're out on the lake in potentially rough conditions. But it sounds like you've got fantastic weather, which we're happy to hear. So good luck. We'll be live with you again tomorrow at noon Eastern. So feel free to tune in for those who are just tuning in now. We are going to switch over to Matt Holland, who's with Norbit. And he's going to walk us through some of the live data that's coming directly off the robotic vehicle. That's the ASV, or the Autonomous Surface Vessel, which is an Ocean Infinity Armada 8. It's about 8 meters long. And welcome, Matt. You're VP of Sales at Norbit, and we're happy to have you here today on the live stream searching for the NCAR missing plane.
Thanks very much, Tim, and fantastic, to be a part of the mission and the exploration for the missing plane. And working with a great group of folks here. So as it's been mentioned, the ASV, the autonomous vehicle, we have that mounted with a Norbit high resolution sonar to do the mission search. And where we see the Norbits being used, either on crewed vessels like Travis is just on board there, or where we see them being used as well is on these uncrewed platforms like the ASVs. And part of that is due to the nature of the Norbit sonars being really very compact. but also low power draw. And when you're considering something like the ASV and an autonomous vehicle running on a sort of a limited power supply, if you like, with all these different sensors, that's where things like payload capacity and low power can be very important to maximize the endurance of the vehicle. So we have the high resolution data coming in from the system, and I think we can bring the screen up here for the data display. So just for context for folks, we all know that the survey is taking place in Lake Superior, but I'm actually sitting here in my home office in Eastern Canada. And I have on display here, remotely accessing the data that's being collected on that autonomous vehicle out in Lake Superior. So I can see the bathymetry or lake bed data that's coming in real time as we're mowing the lawn or painting the bottom, as they say. And I can completely have full control of my own display without interrupting what the folks are doing there on the vessel, and start to get some useful information through this web-based approach to doing this type of data collection. So, for example, there's been a couple questions earlier about what's the width of the swath coverage that we're getting from this sonar as we're operating it. So I can here freely take some measurements and see that I have a swath width of about 350 meters, or probably in the range of about 1,200 feet wide. And we were also just hearing from Travis there about the sort of dynamic seabed. And so in addition to the actual features on the bottom that we're searching for, we can also see a lot of very interesting topography on the bottom. And I can interrogate that a little bit further by actually doing things like a cross profile and being able to see some of the changes in the lake bed bottom. And this is really useful in a real time sense, because as Travis and others are out there, searching, looking for targets and such, then they can very easily be doing this interrogation to make decisions and to help them decide if they found something of interest. But again, what's also really powerful is that, I'm sitting here in Eastern Canada. Tim, you could be sitting there in your home office, and we can all have access to this display. So really a truly group or team effort to be able to monitor the progress of the survey and make decisions about what's going on.
That's fascinating stuff, Matt. And I'm sure you've seen great changes in technology over the course of your career, as have I. But this is really fascinating. What also fascinates me is the amount of technology that's being applied here. We've got not only the multi-beam echo sounder on the ASV itself, we've also got on Wayne's vessel that he was with some of the other people, they had an ROV and a towed side scan. And then on Travis's boat, the RV Soliton, they also got a different multi-beam echo sounder. So really a phenomenal amount of equipment that's out there collecting data. Data, I should say, that we've never had before. This is an interesting fact that only 15% of the Great Lakes has been mapped in high resolution. It's kind of hard to believe, but it's true. It's never been fully mapped in high resolution before. And there's an international effort between Canada and the US to fully map the lakes. It's called Lake Bed 2030. If you're interested, there it's on the screen for you. If you'd like to learn more about this fairly ad hoc grassroots initiative, there's a number of organizations and individuals involved and different government departments as well to try and fully map the Great Lakes. So thanks very much, Matt. Is there anything else, or are you seeing anything in the data that is, I wouldn't say suspect, or targets or features that you'd want to point out for our viewers?
I mean, really, at the moment, I can see that the guys on board, like Anthony and such, are flagging potential targets of interest. Right now, they have access to a bit more information to what I can see from here. But I think it's certainly an interesting task to be looking at this data and to be making decisions about what's going to be worth reviewing on a fully processed data set. But at least we can get some indication in real time of if there's anything really truly notable, or if it's going to be something to go back and dig a little deeper on the data through the analysis.
Right. Okay. Well, and one final thing before we let you go, about how fast is the vessel going? We can see here on the screen that it's made some progress since it turned that corner and is now on another line, which supports what Travis was saying earlier about mowing the lawn, or as you said, painting the bottom. And you can see that it's not slow, it's not arduous, it just takes time. That's why these efforts cost money, and they do take time. And so about how fast would you say the vessel is going right now?
Well, I can actually see that from the software display right now. They have picked up a bit of speed. They are going about 7 knots currently, and really anything in the kind of range of 3 to upwards of like 8 knots would be a kind of typical survey speed. If you're doing 5 or 6 knots, that's probably quite good. They've maybe got a bit of current or something behind them, so they're moving a little bit faster. But also to your point, Tim, about the sort of the time it takes to acquire this data and map the Great Lakes. I mean, certainly having multiple vehicles out there, multiple platforms doing this high-res data collection is certainly a great approach to try to fill in those gaps and map the lake beds and the Great Lakes.
That's great. Well, thank you for that. And for those who are not familiar with knots, 7 knots is approximately 8 miles an hour. So, that's not nothing on water, but it's also not super fast either. So you can see why they're not out zipping and getting the survey area done in a couple hours. It is going to take several days for this 21 square mile area. Okay, well, thanks so much for your time today, Matt. We may check in with you again tomorrow, depending on how things are going.
Great.
We wish you a good rest of your day in Eastern Canada, and certainly we wish the crew that are out there and the uncrewed, even though they're robots working to collect this data, we wish them a good rest of their day as well. Well, we'll look forward to seeing everyone again tomorrow. Thanks again, Matt, for joining us, and thanks, Travis, as well, to you and your crew. And thanks for joining us on the GLOS live stream covering the NCAR missing plane search. We'll be live again tomorrow. That's Wednesday, September the 11th at 12 noon Eastern for another update from those in the field, and both crewed and uncrewed, searching for the missing plane that went down October 23rd, 1968. We'll see you next time.